You're listening to Arcane Carolinas, an exploration of the Carolinas' folklore, legends, myths, and modern weird. Each episode, we examine the historical context of our topic and aim to preserve some of the stories that help make this part of the world such a fascinating place. Welcome to the first of our winter deep dive episodes of Arcane Carolinas. I'm your co-host, Charlie Mushaw.
I'm your co-host, Michael Williams, and I am very into this concept as a series.
So, as voted on by our Patreon backers, we asked, would you like us to do a deep dive as one gigantic episode or have a deep dive on a specific topic or area broken out across multiple episodes? And they voted for multiple episodes, but we are going to record everything at once right now. That way, we only have to record once, and we still get to do our deep dive research.
Yeah.
We are going to Bath, North Carolina. It's located in Beaufort County. It was originally a part of Bath County. Bath County no longer exists. It was originally the Native American town of, I'm probably going to say this wrong, Pamptacoff.
Okay.
European settlers arrived around 1690 and incorporated the town in 1705. It was North Carolina's very first town.
Oh,
Fun fact, so there's a lot of firsts. When you're the first town,
yeah.
There's gonna be a lot of firsts. It's interesting to note that they had the first public library in 1700. So the first public library in North Carolina predates the incorporation of the town.
Good on them. Good on the folks who organized that public library.
They brought a whole bunch of books over from England and set it up. There's a little historical marker where it was. You can't walk down Main Street, Bath, without running into 5 historical markers every 2 feet.
Right.
It's insane. So it was the first port. Everything happened here. The original postal road that ran from Charleston all the way up to New England came right through Bath. It's pretty neat. Literally first everything. However, early Bath was deeply disturbed by political rivalries, epidemics, the Tuscarora War, and piracy.
Oh, gosh. So when you said that it was the first town, I started to make a joke about also the first town where the mayor falsely contested the election results and, things like that. But now I wish I had not. I don't know. We'll see.
It was a bit of a mess. So the yellow fever came alongside of a severe drought in 1711 and really wrecked house. There was a war between the early settlers and the Tuscarora natives following the fever and drought. And the Tuscarora were trying to basically just push the settlers out. They attacked Bath and the surrounding plantations along the rivers. It's on the Pamlico Sound.
Mm-hmm.
But by 1715, the settlers had formed alliances with other tribes that did not like the Tuscaroras and created this much larger group and won the Tuscarora War. That brings us to 1716 or 18, depending on who you ask, which is going to be our first topic, which is a lot of that, or blank, depending on who you ask, which is Blackbeard the pirate in Bath, North Carolina.
Okay. I know of him as a figure from Beaufort history, having been to Beaufort. So that's not surprising if they're next to each other.
No, I've griped about this in the Choratry episode about I'm going to offend every single person on the coast. The stories are never straight, man. You can't keep the story straight. Every town is telling the same story, but claiming it as theirs or little details are different. It drives me nuts. And everybody wants to be a pirate. Everybody. So I'm going to plug a local business here because that's part of what we do.
You mean you don't want to be a filthy, violent criminal?
Okay, we're going to have fun. We're going to talk about pirates. It is what it is. But let me be abundantly clear that if this was happening in the modern day, it would be the equivalent of running an 18-wheeler off the road, killing the driver, and stealing the truckload.
Yeah.
They're not role models.
Yeah, it's only very romantic when you know it's never going to happen to you.
Exactly. So, Pamlico rum.
Okay. Now, that's part of it I can get behind.
Yeah. From Scott's Point Distillery in Bath, North Carolina. It's a local business I want to plug. Their rum tastes like rum.
Does it say that on the label?
Yeah, thank you for giving me that underhand slow pitch for what I was going to bring up about the label. They romanticize pirates.
Oh, well, hey, You
They
know,
say, where is it? Scott's Point is the place where fierce independence and warm gatherings come together. In a family history with whispers of piracy, rum running, and moonshining, whispers of piracy. Whispers.
I can't decide if that's title of a bad romance novel or is that going to be like the perfume that is created that smells a little bit like rum and tobacco.
Right. Whispers of piracy.
Rum, tobacco, and body odor.
With a hint of salt. So I got that Scott's Point Distillery rum from the best ABC store I've ever been to, hands down. Not because it was exceptionally large or had a great selection, because it was called Ye Old ABC.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
And the lady that worked there was super nice. I said, "Hey, I'm here for that Scott's Point rum." And she was, "It's right there. There you go, tourist." When in Bath, buy their rum.
They just have a big shelf, like an end cap that says, "Do you like Blackbeard?"
Right. Pirates, they're cool.
The thing is, like, pirates are cool. Pirate movies are fun, and and like taking the tours in Beaufort and Bath, I'm assuming, are fun, and all that stuff is great. I took an amazing ghost tour in Beaufort one time, and a lot of it was pirate stuff. But the tour guide also was very clear about, like, these were very brutal people. This was not a fun, happy lifestyle. And she would point out, like, that's a place where he killed somebody who probably did not deserve it, and things like that. And you have to take that kind of historical stuff in context.
Sure. The Assassin's Creed game where you're a pirate is my favorite game in the series. There is a Jolly Roger hanging on the wall behind me that you can see.
Yeah.
Through my webcam. I will own my hypocrisy on that. So, Blackbeard in Bath. Blackbeard went by the name Edward Teach, or Edward Thatch, or Thack with an E, or Thack with a CK, or Tack, or Thatchy, or Theach, or one source claims that his last name was Drummond.
Oh.
So, a lot of squishy details in here.
To be fair, it is awfully hard to read the handwriting of people from that era.
And there's not a lot known about people's, like, upbringing or things like that. People faked stuff all the time. Apparently he could read, so they believe that he came from money.
Oh, yeah.
Most historians agree that he was born around 1860 in Bristol, England. However, some people will try to say Jamaica. I found one that was like, he was born in Bath, that's why he came back. And I'm like, that is reaching. I don't think that lines up with when the town was established.
Yeah, everything I've read about him identified him as having been born in England anyway.
Sometime in the early 18th century, he left Bristol for Jamaica to sail on the ships of privateers. That's the widely accepted version. And when the privateer's license were revoked, he joined forces with Captain Benjamin Hornigold. I'm going with the most consistently accepted version of facts for this. And he took him under his wing and taught him about taking ships. It's a real heartwarming tale. Here's how you kill and plunder. It's like a musical montage, and they're just like stabbing and shooting.
I just, like, now after that thing you said, I just keep picturing it as like an old trucker and a young trucker. Come on, son, I'll teach you how to drive those big rigs off the road,
Right. Gee, thanks.
Oh my God.
So this alliance lasted a little over 2 years, according to historians. During that window is when Blackbeard is believed to have first come to the Carolina coasts. By March of 1718, he decided that hanging out in the Caribbean was not where he wanted to be, and he wanted to be up on the east coast of the United States. On his way to the New World, he encountered several ships that decided to join forces. So he built a fleet just traveling by way of his reputation. People were like, "Hey, I'll throw in with you. Come on, let's go a plundering." And in May of that year, he had reached Charleston, South Carolina, and had about 400 men under his command.
Wow.
And it is at this time that his fleet blockaded Charleston for a week, stopping all ships from coming and going because he wanted medicine. A chest of medicine was his demand from the governor.
I feel like, and maybe this is because, I'm a soft modern day person, but I feel like that's the kind of thing you could probably have just bought.
Yeah, if you're a pirate of means with an armada, you would think that you can get that for money too.
There are many ways to exercise power, and I suppose I don't understand their culture because I am not a part of it.
He had hostages that he did not kill and released as soon as he got his medicine and went about his business without firing a single shot.
At least he kept his word.
Yeah. And by mid-June, he arrived in Bath, North Carolina to accept a pardon for piracy.
Wow. And probably borrow some books while he's there.
Right. Well, when in Bath. So he accepted the pardon, bought a house, decided he was going to settle down, and was, I'm doing air quotes right now, married to his 14th, again, air quotes, wife, Mary Ormond, who was 16 years old.
Oh.
They took up residence in what's referred to as the Hammock House, which is still there. They do piratey tours. You can go look at the Hammock House. It's very well preserved. It's in Beaufort. It's one of the oldest houses in the entire state of North Carolina, actually. It is certainly the oldest house in Beaufort. It was constructed basically for him. He was one of the first occupants. I couldn't find that he was the first, but it is Blackbeard's house, from a historical perspective. It's a tourist destination. They do plays. Blackbeard did not retire from piracy. Shocker. But before we get into that, I want to talk a little bit about his 14th wife. So at this point, he has accepted a pardon. He's settled down. He's fairly easy to find as compared to earlier in his life, and there's a little more on record. So what happened to poor Mary? One story says that when he said, I'm going back a-plundering, he hung her in the backyard.
Oh, gosh. Oh, geez. Okay.
Well, going back out on the sea, gonna hang this teenager.
Wow. Ooh.
The other one, I don't know which one of these is worse. They're both awful. The other is that he said, I'm done with you, and took her to the crew of one of his ships and says, I don't care what you do with her, and went about his business.
Wow. Okay.
So Blackbeard was, get the bleep ready, a real
Yeah. They don't put this in the 5th grade history lesson about it.
No.
Oh. They didn't mention that on the tour either.
No. So those are the two options that we have. Either way, Mary's dead because Eddie wants to go rob people.
I feel like this explains what happened to the previous 13 wives. If you find
wives, a very loose definition of matrimony.
Probably more like person he would not allow to leave.
Right.
If you find yourself wondering, how do you get to 14? Well, that's how.
Yeah. So he takes his crew in his boats and he was like, come on, let's do this. So they go back out. They rob more stuff. They kill more people. And they bring their illicit gains back into North Carolina. And the governor and the secretary of the colony hold a hearing, and they judge all of these goods to be abandoned and divide the spoils between themselves and Blackbeard.
Oh, that's not corrupt at all.
Yeah.
I think this answers a question I was going to ask, which is why was he ever offered a pardon?
So,
or something that are given to people who have done something wrong. And I don't understand why anybody would have looked at his record and said, that's a guy we should pardon. Come on.
He's basically the house pirate for North Carolina.
Yeah, and that's why somebody like that gets a pardon.
So, you've got the house band. You can catch them every Friday night at the same time, right? At the same bar. He was like, oh, yeah, no, he's going to go out and pirate this weekend. It's going to be great.
I think that's one where they probably write the date on the pardon in pencil so that they could just erase it and write a new one next time. Everything else is in ink.
Not a lot of people can read. There's not even a date on it.
Well, yeah.
It's just like a squiggle. They just tell people, no, that's what that says.
Yeah, no, that's from today.
So this action made the governor look corrupt.
Huh, who knew?
The colonists were like, hey, this isn't good. So local plantation owners went to the governor of Virginia, Governor Spotswood, and said, can you please help us? Because we've been abandoned by our leadership. And he did. On the morning of November 22nd, 1718, Governor Spotswood sent troops both by land and by sea to trap him. And on the morning of November 22nd, 1718, Lieutenant Maynard of whatever fighting force he was unofficially a member, for the Virginia Navy. I don't know. I couldn't really. He ran into Blackbeard and they fought an excessively bloody battle near Teach's Hole at the Ocracoke Inlet.
Okay.
Where Blackbeard received allegedly 20 sword wounds and 5 gunshot wounds before he was brought down.
Good grief. What is this guy, Rasputin?
We're not done.
Okay.
Lieutenant Maynard cuts his head off, throws the body overboard, and allegedly the headless body began swimming laps around the ship.
my God. I love folklore. I do.
Yeah.
It's not an ironic.
Yeah. So now in Ocracoke, this is all covered quite extensively in the Charles Wedby books. At Teach's Hole, which is, at the Ocracoke Inlet, the body appears sometime, like ghost pirate swimming.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently there's a glow from the bottom of body of water there that is supposed to be like his soul. What we do know happened for real was Blackbeard's head was tied to the front of the ship and taken back to Virginia as we did it.
Yeah, wow. That's old school proof.
It's also been said that while at the Bonner House in Bath, North Carolina, across the water, so this is not where he died at all.
Right.
This is just another Blackbeard ghost story. It's actually a really wonderfully preserved house across the bay from where Blackbeard used to hang out at Plum Point. Some people think he buried his treasure there. Anyway, there's a ball of fire the size of a man's head that can be seen traveling back and forth from Archbell Point to Plum Point. So Bonner House is nice. It's got a historical marker. I'm going to share pictures with you at the end of all this. Mm-hmm. And if you stand there and look out across the water, you can see a ball of fire that's supposed to be like Ghost Blackbeard. And I mentioned Charles Wedby and the head, and how you already know my thoughts on Charles Wedby. In his final book, with his quote, "It is written," he claims that there was/is a secret society in the Outer Banks that met on Ocracoke. They used to meet in a white clapboard house that the locals referred to as Blackbeard's Castle. And they possessed his skull, plated in silver and hollowed out to serve as a chalice. He glosses over the whole child bride thing. Like, he just does not acknowledge that. And it's just like real big on his Blackbeard pride. And he knows all this because as a young person, a friend of his took him to the secret society where they drank liquor out of Blackbeard's skull.
You know what? Okay, here's the thing. I choose to believe that.
Okay.
That's pretty amazing.
But he says he forgot about it until his final book. I just forgot about it.
Just didn't think about that part.
Yeah.
I think when you've had a long, adventurous life filled with, trees with witch names burned into them and who knows what else, it maybe the silver skull that you drank liquor out of just gets lost in the shuffle.
Sure. Yeah, you forget about being 12 years old and dragged to a strange house and giving a password and sitting around with grown men drinking liquor out of a skull. He offered a reward for information about the skull in his book. It was $1,000 if you would let him borrow the skull to have it x-rayed to determine what was on the inside.
I feel like that's an offer he was willing to make because he knew it might never get cashed in.
Yes.
I still choose to believe because I love stuff like secret societies and conspiracies and that kind of thing. And I just aesthetically, for all the trash I just talked about, pirates and people romanticizing that kind of lifestyle, because that is a horribly, brutally violent lifestyle that made victims out of perfectly innocent people just trying to get by in a very difficult time to be alive. I love the idea of a secret society drinking liquor out of a silver-plated Blackbeard skull.
We could start one.
Oh, we could. That's true.
I mean, we could just make it a thing. Eventually the pandemic will be over and we can hang out again and we can just do that.
Yeah, that's true. I guess I don't need it to be a pirate skull.
We can say we can say whoever skull it is you want it to be.
Yeah. Well, my list of wanted skulls is pretty long, so.
I want it to be Glenn Danzig's skull. I know he's still alive and will continue to be, but that's part of the macabre. This is Glenn. That's not actually Glenn Danzig. That's an impersonator. We have real Glenn Danzig's skull here.
Yeah, see, that can be the conspiracy right there.
Mm-hmm.
And Danzig been replaced by a fake.
So if you want to join our Glenn Danzig secret society where we drink out of a skull.
I do kind of need it to be somebody who's done something brutally awful, though, to convey that energy. I'm not sure.
Have you heard the Danzig Sings Elvis album?
Oh, okay. No, I have not.
I'm kidding. That's not brutally awful. It's just not particularly good. I'll leave him alone. I'm done. That's why people keep coming back to hear us say dumb stuff like that.
Don't worry, we just pissed off all the pirate people.
Let's continue alienating people and move on to the next legend out of Bath.
Okay, let's go for it. But seriously, if you're ever in Beaufort, they do a great ghost tour in Beaufort. It was a lot of fun. Highly recommended.
I recommend the town of Bath. I mean, I got so many stories out of this visit, and I did a 3-day weekend around Halloween. Delightful, empty, quiet, kind of creepy at night little town.
Definitely want to go there.
So people really lean into the pirate stuff, but there's so much more in Bath. So we will continue our series on Bath next time.
5.
You've been listening to Arcane Carolinas. Thanks for joining us. If you liked it, give us a rating, leave a comment. If you didn't like it, send us an email and tell us why. If you're not wrong, we'll try to fix it.
And if you're interested in award-winning speculative fiction, including science fiction, urban fantasy, and horror, find me, Michael G. Williams, at www.michaelgwilliamsbooks.com and check out Falstaff Books at falstaffbooks.com.
If you'd like to pick up some Arcane Carolinas merch, look at behind-the-scenes info, pictures, videos, stuff like that, all the things that get cut, check out arcanecarolinas.com, where you can get access to our Patreon, our Facebook, our Twitter, our Instagram, all that in one place, including the merch store. Buy a shirt.
Clothe your body.
Drape your body in our wares.
Be our living billboards.